What's up, everybody? Thanks for listening to the Small Town Roofer podcast. I'm Scott Tebay, your host, and today we have Joel Paskey with True Work Roofing out of Houston, Texas. Is that correct?
That's right. Love. Super happy to be on the show, man. I'm excited. I'm not a small town roofer being in Houston, but I think we have like small town, marketing strategies and networking strategies and things like that. So, we try to be like 5 Mile famous, I guess, neighborhood famous. So probably a lot of the same similar types of stuff.
That's awesome. And that's exactly what I've heard too. So and that's the point, you don't have to be from the middle of nowhere to kind of have the small mind mentality and business model. So yeah, no, that's great. Houston's huge. You've got competition coming out of your ears, I have to think. I've been there quite a few times, and it is amazing how big that place is.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'm sure that, competition is fierce anywhere. It's definitely really tough here. It's a weird market because it's not really insurance, not really retail. So it's kind of everybody wants it to be insurance, I think. And especially, all the contractors do, all the homeowners do, and so that makes it an interesting market. The retail, market is wild here. It's the Wild West for sure. And there's, it's a challenge running a company here, but you can stand out as well. So that part's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I guess, why don't you, just to get started, why don't you tell us a little bit of your background, what got you into the roofing business, and then kind of lead us into where your company is today.
All right. So grew up in Waco, Texas, and was mostly in my professional career in restaurant hospitality. Never considered the trades as a career. Thought it was cool. Never considered it as a career. And then I had a buddy start a company, and they grew it to be really successful. And he had always asked me to kind of come work with him. He used to work for me, actually. And as a summer kind of side gig for a while, I did. And man, I fell in love with it. Honestly, I was always in love with like customer service, providing great, I don't know, just making people feel good, like putting smiles on people's face, making people happy. And so that's why I was in the restaurant business and what I liked about it, and learning how to, make everybody feel VIP, that type of thing always made me really happy and gave me a lot of excitement and a lot of joy personally. But this was on such a bigger level, just being their roof, being their house. And then as I got into it, just realized that, loved it. Loved the satisfaction at the end of just like a job well done. That was just so intoxicating and rewarding to me. And then started to see a really like kind of broken industry. It seemed like it was this very strange industry to break into, like coming from the restaurant business, where you have to, go through training for 2 weeks to sell like a plate of fajitas. But like in the roofing business, I mean, where I was, it's like, I rode around with a truck for a half a day, and then they're like, all right, get after it, man. And like, I'm trying to sell like $30,000, roofing systems. I don't know anything like at all. I mean, I have no clue. And I just figured it out. And, but like the discrepancy there, from like what you need to know to sell a plate of fajitas versus what you need to know to sell an engineered system that protects the building envelope of your home and protects your family and your biggest investment, should be, that's a wide, like, you just should need 6 months of training, to be able to be in front of a homeowner and talk intelligently about roofing systems, right? And ventilation and all types of, things like that. And so I saw a lot of other inefficiencies kind of like that in communication and, no CRMs. And this is years ago, and manila folders and marketing from like we just door knocked. I mean, they didn't know, and like, that's all they did. I mean, that blew my mind. The first time I saw that, I was like, there's just no way, man. Like, there's no way, dude, you knock on a door and like sell somebody like a 20K roof. And then I watched my buddy do it like right after. And I was like, wow, that's wild. And, so there was also like, I saw there's things that seem like industry wide that I saw like here, at least in our market, that, people getting homeowners to call in claims when there wasn't a claim to be called in on, all the way to like doing damage, vandalism to roofs, to try to get them bought by insurance. I mean, it's like rampant here, dude. It's madness. So it's just like, everybody's got, they're out here with quarters and nickels and dimes, scratching up roofs, scratching granules off roofs. And I guess just like, seeing that, being like, it just felt like, man, this is an awesome industry, but it's really broken, I feel like. And, there's like, it seems like there's an incentive to not have roofing systems that last, that's like all the way from manufacturing to distributing to the contractors, and I started looking into, other like, products, and started talking about, metal and synthetics and composites and stuff like that. And like, it had people say like, dude, if we do start putting on roofs like that, like we won't have a job left. Like that's crazy talk, and that blew my mind. Like that type of mindset blows my mind, because I was like, dude, this is Houston. Like we will never run out of roofs to do ever. We could never, home builders will always build like cheap, asphalt roof all forever. Like, even, they'll never hire us. We can't do new construction. They just, there's no, like I have a buddy who has a big, he could get me more jobs than I could ever do. And we can't, there's $0 in it unless you work it out for rebates or whatever, there's just no money in it. And so anyway, I thought, man, like, let's try to, install roofing systems that last. And let's, digitize everything and put it on and streamline communication. And let's kind of bring a modern marketing approach to this. And let's start training really well. And so then, had all those kind of big ideas, I guess. And then my wife and I started the company. Now we're about 4.5 years ago. We were like right in the middle of COVID, like right at the beginning of it. And it was her and I, and we door knocked together and was like, hey, can we check out your roof? They're like, how long you been in business? We're like, about a week. And, Malarkey Shingles had just got to Houston, and I really liked the, SBS polymers and, the class 4, it was at the time, the Malarkey Vista was class 3 hail rated. I really liked that. And so we were selling that. We were the first ones almost in Houston to kind of, start offering that. And they were like, what kind of shingle do you recommend? We're like, Malarkey. They just strangest looks. But we installed our first roof about like July 2020. And then her and I, just 2 men, showed it, taught ourselves like, QuickBooks and SEO, and, built like a landing page for a website, and, had shirts and a van. We were living in an apartment, and in our garage, you rolled it up and like it was packed. Packed. You couldn't even move in there with just stuff. Got a catch-all, and went after it. And then we did about like $600K that year in sales, just the two of us. For the second half of the year, we hustled and and it was fun. Then the next year we really kind of, I would say, exploded with some growth and got some salespeople. Did about 2.5 million the second year, and then I started, like, I would say, making a lot of mistakes, I think, like at that point, so like, I think the reason so many roofing companies fail is because you're just not good at it yet, right? So you're either a good salesperson or you were a good installer, but you're definitely not a good business owner.
Right.
And so that was for sure me. So, I was a good salesperson. And even though I had done stuff, training and hiring and some different things like that, that did give me some experience. It still was like not knowing my numbers, I'm sitting here, I own a roofing company, dude. And like, I don't know the difference between like markup and margin, because I didn't listen to enough of Dave Sullivan's podcast with like Michael Stone, but I learned a lot of that stuff from podcasts and from like reading and from talking to other people and, trying to figure out like, and we have it all the way now to where like we have this software and we're predicting based on like modeling out what kind of cash flow we'll have, 3 months from now, 4 months from now and stuff. And so But looking back then, it was not like that at all. And I had, you got a couple $100,000 like credit limit, and you got a ton of money coming in, and I'm filled with like competitiveness and ego and overconfidence. And I'm like, oh, dude, we're going to 5 million in like a month, then probably 10 next month. I mean, this is like easy. And, started making a lot of mistakes, hired a marketing company, and then just way overspent, got in a jam, like with a supplier, like we paid
before you get into that, hold on, before you get into that,
I can just share the whole story. So like,
I want to get into the marketing side of things, because that's a big one. And I want to hear that story before.
All right.
Because I'm going to lose track. I want to touch on something that you said that's really interesting, a really interesting take on roofing systems. And I never looked at it this way, but you said we'll work ourselves out of a job, essentially. We're going to put on such a quality product that it's not going to need replaced as often. But here's a thought on that. Isn't that more so the homeowner doing that to us? Because here's the thing I think about, we're getting, our butts kicked on price pretty regularly. I mean, that's just kind of part of it. We're very competitive. I'm not going to sit here and say that we're the most expensive, because we're definitely not. We're very competitive. But like the guys that are literally just tearing the roof off and just straight nailing new shingles down, not following code. Like we have to have ice guard in the valleys and up the, on the eaves and things like that up here. I don't think you guys have to have that necessarily for code, but there's a big price difference between us and them. We do follow all code and all manufacturer recommendation no matter what. But that homeowner, why should they give a shit? Because at the end of the day, they're hoping that they get 10 to 15 years out of it, and then storm damages it, and the insurance company's going to pay for it anyway. Why do I want to spend any more than I got to right now anyhow? I'd rather pay $8,000 for that replacement and pocket the remaining 6 and do it again in 15 years, and unfortunately, because of the way the system's built, I feel like that is a huge factor. I feel like there's such a flaw in the entire system that you can put on something that's completely subpar, that's not even the code, that meets no recommended, manufacturer recommendations, and you're allowed, like no one can stop you from doing that. And your insurance company, they really can't tell that you didn't do all the proper things, as long as the shingles are nailed straight, they're not all high nailed, or they're, there's a few little things that they can tell, but essentially they have to cover it anyway. So why, that it's just an interesting thing. I don't know how we fix that, because I don't like selling an inferior roof, and I won't, but daggone it, how are you ever going to compete with these guys that they're good with that roof only lasting 10 to 15 years? Because they just assume wind's going to tear it up and insurance will put another one on it,
Yeah, for sure. I get it. You may be in a more of a storm market than we are. Like
really not, but you get my point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know like at first when we started the company, we had to ask ourselves like, for sure, Houston does not need another roofing company. So why do we deserve to exist? What need in the market are we trying to uniquely solve? And who's our ideal target client? And just knowing that there's zero chance I can compete on price at all, ever. What we did was just try to go really as far the other way as possible. And so we qualified people. We kind of explained to them that we're going to be more expensive from the start. We have the instant quote on our website, for transparent pricing. It's going to be more expensive than the other quotes that, you get. We install metal, we install composites. So, 6-figure roofing systems, composite slates, shake, Spanish barrel tile, that type thing. And just trying to go after that end of the market. And because there's a market of people that don't care, and they're just not our customer, and there's enough, at least here, of a market of people that do, without enough contractors, truthfully, like really targeting that. They're trying to target the high end of the market, in a real strategic way. And with our, branding, messaging, and offerings. And so, I think that's what we've done. And so just trying to know who we are, who we're not, who is not our ideal client, that one that just doesn't care about what goes into their roof, and, go about it that way.
Sure. No, that's a great way to put it. And I feel like that's what we try to follow as well. I think we play in a little bit of a, Rain Stoppers, we play in a little bit of a gray area there. Like we definitely, we call them the whales. We love the whales. We want to go work on we just bid one this week, and it's a dimensional shingle roof, and I think it came in like $62,000. That's a whale. When obviously if we can get it in standing seam or something, it's going to be 3 times that. But just in shingles, that's a massive job for us. But that's the one we want. We want that job. It'd be a great job for us. But in the area we live, there's so few and far between. We have to get fairly competitive to get those, 412 ranch houses, those 2 straight run houses, the 25 square jobs that, nobody wants, or that everybody wants, or the 16 on 12 that nobody wants. So we have to kind of play in that. But yeah. So anyway, you were getting into some marketing. You said, to finish out kind of the story you got to get to today, you had some marketing issues.
We did. Yeah, we tried a lot as far as marketing goes. We've done PPC, we've done Facebook ad, we've done all of that stuff. And at the end of the day, what we're really doing now that works, at least for us, is just really, I'm obsessed with this idea of like leveraging every single win. And so if we get an inspection somewhere in a neighborhood, the 20 closest neighbors are going to get flyers. The 20 closest neighbors are going to get a mailer, for every single inspection, right? And then, once we get some traction in the neighborhood, we have other things like that. But it's, like we have a very extremely branded job site. So massive flag, massive tent, catch-all netting system. It's really dramatic. It's extremely branded, green everywhere. And, we like bring ice cream, and like give it to the neighbors and stuff. So it's a very like grassroots neighborhood type marketing effort where, we just want to, the idea is real simple. There's a dude here in Houston named Mattress Mac, who is a legend, like an icon. He sells mattresses, and the entire city knows who he is. He's like known nationally. I mean, he's does some wild things to get a lot of attention, making all these bets and stuff on the Astros and all kinds of stuff. But like, I mean, we can't be Mattress Mac to Houston, right? But we can be that in a neighborhood, in a subdivision. And so we just take that mentality, because when you go through and you get on the Nextdoor and you get on the Facebook community page, and like all your clients are sharing on those platforms, and you're taking little selfies with them and, sharing it in all those platforms, and, you're getting them to go introduce you to their neighbor. And, it's just a very like neighborhood type of thing. And you become Mattress Mac in that neighborhood. You're famous in that neighborhood. And when somebody's driving through the subdivision, it's a sign, your sign, your sign, your sign, your sign. And other companies that may be much bigger, have massive budgets, spending a ton on SEO, a ton on PPC, ton on like, they are, gross revenue, doing a lot more than me, but they can't compete with me in that neighborhood. They can't come in there and compete with me. And so like, it's just taking that mindset of like, planting our flag, we're going to own this neighborhood. So every rep, has a couple neighborhoods that, they own, and they're going to be famous in, and we're going to support them and make them famous in there. So that's our strategy.
So let me ask you this. How's that working for you, that strategy?
I mean, decent. So, it's how to measure success or whatever. Last year we did 3 million in revenue. We had a lot of turnover. It's been real tough, of course, a real struggle to get build a good team that stays, truthfully. It's just, I think, just a really, really tough thing to do. But right now we're really blessed. We have like a really awesome team, a core team of like some badasses that have been with us for a while and like get the vision and get what we're trying to do, and like have really bought in and are all in and just rock stars. We have some really amazing human beings that helps a ton.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So from our office manager to both our production managers to like, our sales manager, I mean, just some real quality human beings that really care, go the extra mile to help people. And, so we're on track to do over that this year. We made a profit last year. We'll, think we'll do that again this year. We're not getting rich here, but, I think we're helping people. We have 150 5-star reviews. And when you look at our reviews, it's not like 5 stars. People are leaving pages of, like heartfelt emotion and talking about how well we communicated, how clean the job site was left, things that we really pride ourselves in. And, last year, 51% of our business came from referrals. And
Oh, wow.
so I think that it's not working as fast as I want it to, but like it's grassroots, it's organic, we're building a foundation of something that I think is changing lives, truthfully, like from our team here to people that we get to go serve in our community. And so I think it is. I think it's working. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and I ask because we've been kind of we just kind of started the same thing with some direct mail type stuff. We're doing a few different things. We're doing some quote follow up with direct mail. We're also, it's not like, what it is. We're sending a handwritten letter after we send a quote to somebody. So we're also doing some of the neighborhood canvassing through direct mail, through door hangers, through things like that, flyers, following a quote or following definitely a project. If we're doing a project, we're definitely canvassing and putting flyers out where needed. But just to be honest with you, we haven't seen a ton of, we haven't seen a ton of success. We had one instance where we got 4 $30,000 jobs on the same street.
Nice. There you go.
But nothing since. So
Gotcha.
It's been like, it was so weird. It was just like the perfect storm in that one area. Storm, not really. It was just, it worked. But then we've been doing it steadily ever since for the past couple months, and we just really haven't seen much traction with it. And again, we're at least getting the flyer out. We're hoping they're hanging it on the fridge. Maybe they're putting back some cash. Maybe they did our instant quote online, so they kind of have some budget. We're hoping that, like you said, it's an investment. It's a low cost investment that maybe is a long-term play. So
right.
We're kind of hoping the same thing, but we
keep after it, brother. Yeah, we love that instant quote right now as a like lead magnet. I mean, it is on every single thing we hand out, everything we do. People really love putting in their email, phone number without a sales pitch to get a price. And we're gonna go as hard with that as we can, and because it's getting 2 years, it's like just normal. Everybody's gonna have it, and we'll have to come up with our new little thing. But as a lead magnet, I think that's been working really well. I mean, I did change my mindset a couple years ago from kind of more like, how do we get more leads? How do we get more leads? To more, I think the market tells you like how many jobs you deserve. The market tells you like how good you are, by voting for you. And if you're not getting enough votes, you're probably just not good enough. You know what I mean? And like all these, and so it's like, as a young, man, you're trying to like date or whatever, and you're like, you change that to start working on yourself. Maybe I'm just not, I want to like be a badass that like the kind of woman that I would be into would want. And you change the focus to be that way and start working out and running and reading and like doing that type of thing. And then all of a sudden, like you're attracted to that type, you're attractive to that type of person, after a while. And so, we've kind of just been obsessed with the customer experience and our installs, like we bring a metal brake to the job. We change all the flashings, at the job with like Kynar painted 24 gauge. And that you might be like, yeah, of course, I don't know. But like, nobody does that here, dude. No one does that at all. They just like repaint him. Nobody wants to take off that bottom row of siding because you got to take off those 2 trim boards, and like my installer's, 20 something years here. He's like, you're the first guy ever, we've been working together for a long time, but he's like, you're the first guy ever that makes me change all the metal flashings on the entire job, and so like that amount of effort and taking that much, like, you know, with the catch-alls and like, I mean, I own 4 catch-alls, dude, you know, and like it's everywhere. And just,
Right.
you know, we're obsessed with clean job sites. We have a little tracker that shows like when we're on the way to each appointment, you know, like a DoorDash or Uber.
Yeah.
We have appointment reminders that have like embedded videos, you know, of what to expect.
What are
on
you
your
using for
inspection.
CRM that's helping you do that stuff?
Well, so we kind of like I have a kind of a good friend who we kind of made our own essentially.
Oh,
So
okay. Awesome.
yeah, so like Airtable is the back end. It's like fancy database. I could not do this myself, but like somebody helped me do this. Airtable's the back end, and like Bubble is these apps you can kind of make, and then you make them all run on Make or Zapier, you know, like automate it all. We have Ring Central as our VoIP, we have Sales Message, and we have all these, you know, you have our tasks. So we just like we used to have GiddyUp CRM, and we modeled it a little bit off of that. But like we add other technologies like Arrivee is the DoorDash thing, Sales
Right.
Message, and you got to like tie them in together. And it takes a lot of work to like set up, but once you get there, you know, it took a lot of work, but once you get there, we have, you know, that appointment reminder, and it has an embedded YouTube video of me and Laura talking about what to expect on your inspection. Same thing for the adjuster meeting, same thing for, you know, build day. And then, you know, Company Cam, I mean, man, it's just, we use Company Cam to its fullest. We do the Company Cam checklist and share the timeline link, and the client is like involved in the whole thing, you know, live action photos going on during the entire deal. And those checklists have been a game changer for production, you know, because like we were finding things being missed or whatever. So we did all the photo checklist in Company Cam, and it really, so our inspections are the same every single time now. Like no matter if a rep is brand new or like, you know, 2 years with us, our production is very streamlined now because of those photo checklist and Company Cam. And that with that customer experience, I just think like when you look at our reviews, and you know, I love our company. I'm bragging about ourselves. We do all kinds of things wrong. We mess up all the time. I could do the whole podcast on all the things I do wrong. But like, you know, if I get a minute and I beat myself up all the time, you know what I mean? And like, I'm real critical on myself personally. And, you know, like it's hard, man. It's real stressful. But if I can brag on us for a minute, like you can see from our reviews that like we're creating an experience of, and like raving fans, and they're our lead generation machine, you know, because like we invested in like the experience, not like, so it's more the questions like, instead of like, how do I get more leads? You know, it's like, how do I make myself so awesome where people can't help but, how to make our company so awesome that people can't help but tell everyone they know about us? You know, how do we, if we had zero, like an exercise is to pretend you could never spend $1 on marketing. You could never talk to any other person ever, except that one customer coming up. How would you treat them? You know, how would you treat them if the only other jobs you could ever get was through a referral from them? If that was your survival,
Right.
you know, and you take that mindset, and I think we've done that to some degree, and it's, that part's fun, I think, and kind of working. So
there's definitely something to the satisfaction level. I mean, I think at least, I think you get in, if you're a good person, I think you get into the home service business because you enjoy satisfaction. I know for me, it was personal satisfaction. I liked building things with my hands. I liked walking away at the end of the day. I used to drill gas wells. You know what you get to see at the end of the day? A freaking hole in the ground. Like nothing. You know what I mean? So it's like there's no satisfaction to it. So when you build a house or you remodel a bathroom or put a roof on, I mean, even a roof to me, like I love the look of a brand new, I don't care if it's just a regular old shingle roof, that's fine. Take that old shitty one, put a nice new, you know, GAF dimensional shingle roof on. Oh man, that house just looks 10 times better. And I did that all the day. You know what I mean? You know, so for me, that was a big one. But I think everybody has a little bit of that in them. And then, like you, I think the other side of that is a lot of us have this itch to scratch of just wanting to, you know, take care of people and treat people good. Because the reason we started our business, I used to do this on the side. I always loved doing it on the side. but this isn't Houston. There was a need for a contractor here that took care of people. Not that there was none, because there was some. There's a bunch of them, but you're getting a call into them and they're telling you that it's going to be next year before they can do your job. You know what I mean? 8 months, 9 months. So when I hear that, I'm like, okay, there needs to be more quality contractors here, right? Like there's good ones, there's just not enough good ones. Right. So we did it out of necessity that there's just not enough guys out here that are doing it the right way, being honest. You know, we don't take deposits, and not everybody's got their opinion on that. I believe in no deposits. If I can't trust you enough, like, why do I want 50%? I want the whole thing. Or if I want 10%, I want the whole thing. You know what I mean? I want to earn the whole thing. I don't want, what are you going to do? Pay me 10% and not pay me the 90? Just don't pay me any of it. You know what I mean? Like I'll just not get any, and then we can figure it out later. But you know, I've never understood a lot of that, because it's like, I mean, if you got a business that has any relevance, like any background at all, what cost do you have in that job until it's done? Because ABC or Beacon or whoever, they'll float the material. I mean, shoot, they'll float it for me for 3 months. I pay it every week, but they'll float it as long as I ask them to, really. And then even your laborers, my installers, I pay them. I write checks every Monday from the previous week. So they have to turn invoices in by Sunday. Monday, I write checks for the last 7 days. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, even if we did a job on Friday, Saturday, I mean, there's still a day to collect. Like if you really needed to go collect from a customer.
No, we don't take, it's one of our, things. We don't take any money until after the job. So it's actually, all of our sales reps kind of repeat this. They all say, like, they go, how's payment work? Say, well, we don't take any money until the end of the job. And we need to hear you tell us first that you love your roof. You're so happy you went with this, even though it probably cost you a little more. And we say that like almost word for word, and that you're going to tell Google about us and go tell all your friends about us. And at that point, that's when payment is due. And just to look on their face, like, and so to this day, we're not huge, we do 150 roofs a year, all that. So we're small, but we have one person who owes us about $4,000. It's like the depreciation check of an insurance check for a few years ago, like a really old lady, and doesn't even have email, you know what I mean? And like, for real, like doesn't have email. We took a contract over to her, one of those, and to sign, and like, that's it. So, and all my friends think that like I'm insane. Yeah. I've actually posted that before, like on Facebook, and like people are like, you are crazy.
Yeah, but no, you're not, because you just do it right. And people in this world are good. Like people are good. It's just they're shitty contractors. Like most customers are good. I've got one. We do like last year we did like 400 roofs or something. Year before that, maybe we did 250. I don't know. So I knew last year was about 400. I have one person from a year and a half ago that straight up told me she ain't paying. Come to find out, she's an attorney. So, we are fighting that out in court. I go to trial in 2 months, and I am 100% certain I will get paid. Or, we got a lien against the house. It's not a problem.
Right.
But I look at it, I talked to my attorney about it. He's like, dude, by law, you can require a deposit. I'm like, I understand that. Do you know how much headache it would cause to my business? And I said, this lady owes me $22,000. I said, we've done how many millions of dollars of business that I haven't had to chase deposit checks around to go start a project. I haven't got to go pick money up from somebody, or I had to meet somebody at the office, or I had to, make the extra run to the bank. Or no, when we come walk the job, when it's complete, we do a final inspection. You just hand me one check. That's it. We ain't chasing money around twice, 3 times. That's one time. I can put $20,000 away over the course of 5 years to do that.
When I got into the industry, what I saw was people collecting ACVs and many times deductibles before doing the roof, a lot, and collecting a lot of them. And then spending that AR money like it's your own personal money, you know, and then they go roll around in the neighborhood, dude, in a new F-250, and like they've collected ACVs and deductibles for like a lot of those roofs in there after a storm, you know, and that's like, it's outrageous. I mean, it's outrageous. And so, yeah, I agree. Like, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, this works when you're a good person, just like what you're saying. If you're, you know, honest, do what you say, you know, answer your phone when you mess up, because you will for sure, you know, you just own it quickly and make it right, dude. It's as easy as that, man. And like,
some people aren't real. So to that, there's a lot of people that aren't real. They think you shouldn't have messed up, or they're very annoyed that you messed up on their house.
sure.
That's just part of it. Just make it right with them. You know,
Sure.
get them $100 gift card to Outback and fix the problems. You know, there's only so much you can do, but at the end of the day, it needs to be right done.
Right.
We had one. We replaced the entire roof because there was just it was leaking, but we couldn't find it.
Right.
And I mean, this is a small double wide trailer, but it was leaking on the back porch. And I mean, we chased this thing from ridge cap to drip edge, and could not find it. And it was a metal roof. We tore every freaking panel off, ice guarded the whole damn roof, put metal back up, you know, because that was the only way we literally couldn't find it. And, you know, we're not going to sit there and just keep gobbing, caulking on stuff and trying to see, no, we just tear it off and start over. There's a problem somewhere and it just needs fixed. You know, the guy was a little bit annoyed that he had to have us banging around again. But, you know, at the end of the day, we've actually got referrals from him. So, you know, he just needed a couple of days to cool off. And then he was like, man, them guys, they did me right. I refer him to a friend. We did his brother's, actually. We did his brother's house. So, yeah, it works.
That's it, man. That's it. And we've run metal for a job before and run all the metal to find out that, you know, the machine, you know, was a little, there's some tiny ripples, you know, along the edge right by the seam, but they're pretty consistent and kind of go all the way up the panel. And, you know, it's just one of those things where, like, you know, I mean, this is, you know, 50 something square house. We run all the metal, and, you know, the guys are like, man, I don't think you can really notice. I don't think you can see, you know, and like I didn't even consult the homeowner. I didn't talk to him about it. I know it. I would notice, you know what I mean? And like, we just went and bought it, you know what I mean? Like, no money on that job. It is what it is, you know, like we just went and got more metal and ran it all to make it right, you know, and like, you know, it's just, I'm blessed because I have a team that's the same way. I mean, Melissa, our sales manager, and Angel and Gabriel, you know, our production guys, and Sarah, our office manager, and all the rest, they're like awesome human beings to like their core. And that's I attribute at the end of the day, like our success as a company, I think, comes from that. Like, people trust us that what we're saying is the truth. You know, I don't have an agenda. You know, I tell people all the time, like, my favorite thing to do is tell people they got 3 years left, 4 years left on your roof, you know, and like see their shoulders and see that reaction, that beautiful, like human interaction where they're like, oh man, like, cause they know I want to sell them a roof, and they're like, all right, somebody I can trust. And they like give us referrals all the time, you know, like, hey, if we go like change that one pipe boot and like we just caulk your, you know, fasteners and stuff like that and some things, we can buy you another 4 years on this roof, 5 years on this roof, you know. And it's like you create long-term relationships. And I think that's how you're successful in this, you know, with everybody, your long-term relationships with your distributors, your suppliers, and mostly, you know, your all, you know, subs, salespeople, you know, just building this as long-term. You know, there's like the short-term mindset where it's like, what's in it for me? What can I take today for me? And then there's like, you know, to life and business, there's like, okay, how can I use today to develop awesome long-term relationships that'll pay dividends 10 years, 20 years from now, you know, and it's two completely different things, and it changes how you operate your life and business.
So I got a couple questions before we wrap up here. One question is, you know, I actually spend a fair amount of time in Texas, mostly in the wintertime. and it's beautiful down there in the winter. But my God, I went down there last summer. It's friggin' hot. So
Yeah.
I've got a friend out in Arizona. It's even hotter there. So,
Yeah.
but I was curious, how's it work with your crews? Like what, do you work at night some? Do you do any, do you take any precautions or do anything special? Like, I'm just curious because I'm up in Ohio. It's 95 today and like 90% humidity. So, I mean, it's miserable here right now, but we roofed all day today. Today was like 93. Tomorrow's like 97. Tomorrow we're quitting at like 2:00. But what do you guys do for that?
Yeah, man, it's terrifying for sure. I'm on like stress level 10, almost panic for June, July, and August. I really worry about it a lot, way more than like somebody falling off a roof or something like that. Like that. This is, I think, yeah, it's a very concerning and really hard to know. We do everything we can. So we have like a cool tent, all the guys have the shade hats. We buy all of them, the cool towels. They dip it in ice. They all have I buy them even though they're subs, I buy them SPF, moisture wicking, of course, like, long sleeve shirts.
Like shirts or something.
Yeah, because I mean, we only work with one crew. There's the same crew we've ever worked with. So even though they're, but we have an awesome relationship. But yeah, you can wet the roof down when you need to, but we get there early. They take a lot of break, and I highly encourage it. Take a long lunch. I mean, they take a nap, and our 1-day jobs turn into 2-day jobs, and I just explain that to the homeowner. And I don't know, man. I mean, if you have any other ideas, I'm obsessed. I really it's the hardest job ever. I have so much love and like respect for these guys. And it's like just a brutal, like physical job. And they're the toughest dudes I've ever met in my life. And I do want it to be as safe as I can possibly make it for them. And this is one of my biggest fears. And so, yeah, anybody listening, like, give comment. Like, it's something that I think the industry needs to work together to like solve, because it's not getting cooler, and we need help for these guys to be safe. Because he's something.
Yeah, it is brutal.
Real deal. Yeah.
When I was actually nailing shingles, I was always trying to find the way out, the way to get off that hot roof or the way to get some relief on that hot roof.
Mm-hmm.
What we ended up doing a lot, we had the big like shop fans that you see like in warehouses and stuff. Mm-hmm. They're not real heavy. Mm-hmm. And now obviously there's circumstances that may or may not allow you to do this, but we would hook a rope to it, pull it up on the roof, plug it in, take some roofing screws, and instead of the wheels on, broke the wheels off, and just screw it right to the roof deck, turn that bad boy on. And it's not like the whole job site gets a breeze, but that slope, there's a nice breeze on that slope. Mm-hmm. It's not just stagnant, hot, still air. Like there's at least a breeze blowing across the roof. Oh my God, you thought it was air conditioning. It felt so good. Sure. That we worked awesome. Some. I mean, we definitely up here, but it's so difficult. We would do it. We would try to like save commercial type work. Like we did a doctor's office one time. Well, what better place to work at night in a doctor's office with no one in there? So, it was 90 some degree day, and we just ran a light plant and took a light plant down and roofed it at night. And, we did things like that to attempt to stay out of it, but you can't have a successful season and stay out of it. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. But
I know we have some homeowners that are like, they're just unbelievably nice. And they ask, and they're like, and they want to put the project off, until it gets cooler. And, but like, it's just like you said, I mean, like our guys got to eat, we got to eat, like we got a roof, we can't take 3 months off. And, so it becomes tough. Like the fact that they're thinking about delaying the roof project 3 months for like my guys, I mean, I just want to hug them and like, be like, God, man, like, thank you for just being an amazing human being. But like, can we sign this deal? And like, we'll take every precaution possible to keep them as cool as possible, because that's actually what they want. That's what my guys would prefer.
Well, they need it. They need to work.
Yep.
And you did say that was going to be my last question for you. All your labor, you do subcontract labor?
Yeah. So all of our sales. So we have 2 production guys that are W-2 guys that are like our in-house project managers, our office manager W-2, all our sales reps W-2, our canvassers W-2, everybody like that. So a repair tech that's full-time W-2 guy, but our install crew is 1 install crew. I knew him for years before I started the company. I remember they wanted my old owner kind of I remember them arguing about pay. And, my old owner didn't want to kind of pay. They wanted more money, and they were awesome, awesome. So much pride in their work. It's just those guys that it's like after 30, it's done. And 30 minutes later, they're still working on it to make it a little better. And nobody's even going to know, you know what I mean? If they do that, it's you're like, God, man, give me your number, dude. You're amazing. So when I started the company, I called him up and said, man, I'm starting a company. He was like, that's amazing. I knew you would. And said, however much you're making there, I'm gonna pay you more, and I'm gonna buy you lunch every single day. My accountant got on me, dude, because we spent $40,000 in lunches last year, and he was like, "That's insane." He goes, "Man, what are you doing?" Nobody's doing that, and I was just like, "Man, you go install a roof, dude." I just the day that I can't, that dude that is just drenched in sweat, the day I can't buy him a hot meal, man, I said, I'm closing the doors. You know what I mean? You got to draw the line somewhere on what this is about. You know what I mean? And I know it's a business and we're trying to make money, but that's a human being. And there's morale, the thing that meal does, of just pride and morale and man, just treating somebody like an awesome human being, and saying yes, sir, to, and I'm not a roofer. You know what I mean? I'm not a roofer. I can't roof, so I know all the manufacturer specs and ins and outs and everything like that. But when I'm there, I'm bust my ass. I'm drenched in sweat. I'm the trash guy, and but I get dirty, dude, and get after it with him and say, yes, sir. And can I help you? And I'll throw some shingles over my back. And you're in there with it, with your crew. And even though they're 1099, they're the only crew we've ever had, only crew we've ever used, and they're part of our team. So that's how we do it. It'll be, I don't know how, we'll have to think about how we scale and stuff, but we're at a good size right now. We can pull off any job, but also control quality. We're, for the most part, don't do 2 roofs a day. Most of the time, we have several days next week where we're doing 2 roofs in a day. And that's stressful because we split our crew up and we have 2 production managers on each job and 2 catch-alls on each job, but that's maxed out. We cannot do more than that. And that's a tough day for us. All hands on deck, I'll probably be running around, making Home Depot run, that's a hard day for us, but usually we're not. And I like that. I like that we can really, everybody's going to be VIP. They're going to get our best crew because they're only crew, get the whole attention of the company, and then tell all their friends about us.
That's awesome, dude. Well, it's been a pleasure. I feel like I've learned a lot. I feel like we have a lot of the same principles. I just feel like people need to really take note and just be good. Like you said, just be a good human. That's where it all starts. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate it. I had a great time. I appreciate your time. We'll have to do this again. Maybe next time we could do something. You mentioned something, but I'm about at a hard stop, but canvassers. I'd like to talk to you sometime about canvassers. We don't have any, but I'd like to have some. So maybe someday we can have a chat about that. So
you got it, man. You got it. Absolutely. Anytime. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I love talking roofing. I love talking about our business. I love learning and collaborating with other business owners. I love the industry. I respect, man, anybody who's out grinding, dude, entrepreneur. You started a roofing company and you're still in it, 4 or 5 years later, you have made a lot of sacrifices, man.
That's right.
I bet you've been waking up at 4:30 many mornings, dude, because I know I have. Laura and we have an owner's meeting from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., 5 days a week before our daughter wakes up, who's 5 years old, where we work on the company, and People don't ever know that, and anybody, if you're listening to like a roofing podcast, like you're grinding, dude, you're working, you got grit and grind, you want it. And so, man, yeah, be a good person. Don't give up. I love to collaborate. If anybody people do reach out. Sometimes I have been on some podcasts and stuff. And it's kind of fun. And people do reach out and they ask for like advice and tips, things like that. I'm not a like consultant or anything like that. Just a dude running a company, but I do love to help and give advice. And people have done the same for me a lot. And I found the industry to be like, not very like guarded. People are like, no, I'm not telling you that. Like usually like people are like, oh yeah, this is working for me, do try this. And it's really cool because we're all trying to do the same thing and trying to like elevate the standard of roofing, and make it awesome to be a roofer and bring pride back to this industry and make this, change this kind of like broken industry into something that's great where you like tell people you're a roofer and they're like, wow, dude, that's badass, man. That's awesome. Thank you for what you do. By protecting all our homes. And so that's our mission, man. So yeah, this is fun and love to do it again.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, maybe I'll, if you let me, I'll stick your email in the show notes. If anybody's got any questions, they can reach out to you and we'll do that. And guys, if you want to, follow the videos I do, definitely go to YouTube, Small Town Roofer, or Facebook. I am not a social media guy, but somebody does that stuff and does put stuff on there for me. So we make a lot of content, a lot of tips, tricks, thoughts, ideas. So Joel, it's been great. Let's do it again.
Sounds good. Take care, Scott.
See ya.
Bye.